Hi, today we're going to get started with Python. This is for people who do not have it installed and want to get started. So here we are on the Python website, python.org. Uh, Python is a wonderful tool for keeping track of your data, manipulating the data, processing your data, doing simple fun stuff. It works on the text output on the command line, as well as it has a built-in user interface. We won't be talking about that. We're just going to go ahead and get you started. So you can go ahead and go to downloads, and you don't want to download the install manager. And what you want to go ahead and download the 3143. Now, a little background is this is a sandbox environment, so I have nothing installed. It's like I have a new, fresh version of Windows, a new computer, and it tells you. Now it tells you a couple of things. The install now is great to use. Go ahead and use it. And what you want to do, if you're obviously at home, you don't need the admin privileges. You want to go ahead and add Python to your path. This is very important because when you run the programs, it's going to be looking through your system path to see where to look for executable programs. And that's fine. So we go ahead and click on install now, and it go ahead and runs the installer. So, okay, so after about probably 20 minutes, the installation is complete. There's a lot of items that need to be installed, but I cannot tell because we're in a sandboxed environment. And so remember it's asking me to disable the path length limit, and this is fine. Go ahead and click it. It just means that the path that you were um, putting into the operating system to find Python or find all the executables, just in case you start putting the Python items in directories within directories. So go ahead and disable this and click OK. So we're going to go ahead and close this. And what I have right here is a demonstration file and just a little bit of notes. So what is installed is, now Python is an interpreter. So I'm going to go ahead and we're doing this rudimentary style over here. So um, this is a Python file. Do not get scared. There's a lot of things going on here, but it's very basic. It's showing you all how to work with Python, and we will change the formatting. As you can see, it's just a text file. It has all black, but there are certain development environments that will color code. So continuing with our installation guide, so we choose a default installation. We need to find it. We put the path in there and we'll go ahead and go through that. And what you do not want to do is put Python into a OneDrive or a network directory because it will constantly be syncing drives. So do not store. You develop outside of OneDrive and then you place your final products in a zip file onto something like OneDrive. And if you do accidentally transfer Python directories, you might have libraries that contain a total of 15,000 files. So your important files are not going to be synced and you'll get stuck with OneDrive syncing messages. So the OneDrive video will be a different part of the series of videos for the design tools that you need. So we'll go ahead and go over the path and how to change the path and where everything is. And then this is an advanced topic for managing libraries. We'll go ahead and talk about the Python libraries that you can bring in virtual environments. So let's go ahead and minimize this browser window. Again, I'm in a sandbox environment and I'm going to go ahead and look at what is installed. in my environment. Here's the Windows key. So we would go ahead and have some of the pinned items that we have, but as we can see, we have minimal stuff. So idle is an integrated development something LE, right? And so that's what's given, but we're going to talk about taking you out of that now. I'm going to show you how to use the basic tools. You are going to eventually learn better tools for developing with Python. So when you click on this, um, it takes you to the Python shell. Now this is typical when you see arrows like this is Python. And it's very basic. You can enter your commands here. Now don't get turned off. So there's a difference between the terminal and the user interface. Okay, those are two different things. So you design your computational, your data handling in the terminal, and then you bring a nice user interface to it. So print hi. We want to check to see. Okay, there's your response right there. So also you want to do right. Uh, right, it's on there. Okay, forget about that. Forget about that. That's outside commands. So this is considered a shell, and there's a shell is a window into your operating system. So this is a shell for Python. You can also have a shell for your operating system of Windows, and we will go over that in another video. So let's go ahead and open that file and talk about the basics of Python. We're on the desktop demo. Okay, so here is that file, and I'm not an expert on this development environment because there are others that came around that would be probably the fourth or fifth video in the series. So this is Python here. Let's see if I can zoom. Okay, I'm trying to get a bigger text. And what it's telling here, this is a little bit old, so this is an actual executable Python text file, and it's giving you a couple of things that you would need to know in Python, and we're going to go ahead and run it, and it gives you the output, right? So this is, my computer is a little bit slow because I'm in the sandbox environment. So for example, this is your output. So it's telling you variables and data types. So what did it do right here and right here? It printed uh, 50 times the equal sign, and then it printed a statement and then print. So print is basic. Now take a step back, right? So you have to know once things get complex is where is my Python? Because let's just talk about that environment. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up, type in env. Now you edit the environment variables for your account, and you will see over here, let's go ahead and see that during the installation, these environmental variables were put in there. So it was put into your path. So when you type in commands, right, everybody's used to the user environment. You click a button. So the button actually sends a command to the operating system. So it looks through this path to find out where the actual executable is. Again, user interface activates or does executables, executes items, programs, and it brings it to you in a pretty manner. So it put these two variables as path. And so you might want to take a look at yours. So you might have 5 or 6 or 10, and this is for your account. I I said these are the things that the user can edit, right? If I change, this is the actual location of Python. You can go ahead and edit it, right? And you can move it down as lower priority or up. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK, right? So that's where it is. Actually, let me go ahead and get that path, and I can copy. Okay. I'm not gonna do anything with it, but that is where Python is installed. So we're gonna open up an Explorer, paste it in there, and I pasted the one with the scripts, but everything is here in the 314. So Python will have uh, a label over here, uh, and then it will have, this is the actual Python installation, right? So here's the executable. So this is when you click on this over here, it's going to bring you up a shell. Again, we have these three. You can do print high, print everything like this, right? So your job is to make text files that have programs that gives you the information that you want and puts the data somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and close this over here, and we're going to go back to the development environment. I believe that's it. Actually, let's talk a little bit about this. So there's an important thing here called scripts right here, pip, right? So um, sometimes you need to install different libraries, right? And you use this command over here, pip, to install the libraries and to do so all sorts of things. This is your installation method. And I'm telling you the difficult way. Later on, we will talk about the easier ways as these videos come to close. And all your libraries pretty much are, let's see if I got to the right one. These are some of your packages that you need. Don't worry about them for now. These are just default libraries. Let's look at some of the libraries. This is the user interface library, tk-enter, which people dab upon, but there are others. There are many. This is the Windows version Python. Let's see if I'm activating it. No. Okay, forget about it. I think we already have it open. So back in the development environment, we have the file that we're working on, and then we have over here the results, right? I'm going to go ahead and close this background. So as we walk down, you can see it's pretty straightforward. Strings, integers, booleans, arrays can be declared in this manner. Then what you want to do is print out. And one of the useful things is you want to use this F to as a literal statement, and then go ahead and put these squirrely brackets for the variables that you've already declared, and they will come out. So we see that over here in right here. Here's my variable coming out in a print statement, right, within the quote. So there's many different ways to do things, but stick with a method that works for you. And so right now, this is going top down. And later on, we'll talk about other types of methods. So this is one program. Later on, you can build modules and then classes. They help simplify things. It's a different topic, different subject, different video. There's plenty of information on the internet. So this is the way you define a function. The function is taking in arguments. It's called greet. It's taking in one of the arguments, and it's taking in another one, actually setting a default value. And then it's returning this string over here. And then finally, you print this with one of the inputs world in there, and then you print it again with two arguments, right? And so what is it doing over here? One is just printing hello world, right? Because the greeting by default, you don't send it an argument, is hello. And then the second time it calls that function, it's printing welcome developer, right? And you see how you're switching it around? So, and that's just because you're printing the greeting first. You're returning in the string the opposite order, and you're going to do that. So list comprehension, this is good for small things. And what you want to do is define an array. This is an array of numbers. And so this right here, it's a shortened way of acting upon this array. So you have this array 1 through 10. And so you're doing this list comprehension. And it works really good for large things. The simplicity is great. It might take up a lot, some of your computational time. You can do it for uh, large text files. Um, Keeping track of your data, let's say 100,000 is okay. It's a good simple look. And then so it processes it again. And so you're printing numbers, printing squares, printing evens. This is the way you process it. So in numbers, every item squared, and you're storing it back as array. In numbers, if the item is the modulo, which means that it can be divisible by 2, there's no remainder of 0, then store the item, right? Store the item, the original item n, right? So this is what you do with the item. This is how you store it, and then this is how you look through an array. And so that's how you can operate easily on arrays. Some of the dictionary operators. So this is the way you form a dictionary. It's really, really great. So this is actually a JSON format of a dictionary, which is very useful in architecture design. So you're defining an index and a, a value. So it's an item and a value, an item name, however you want to call it, and a value, and something and a value, right? And so this dictionary person, you can actually call it up. So this is your original string, and you're calling up name in here. The name is Alice. The same thing with the age and the skills. And so you're printing out over here. So you're forming a dictionary of a person, right? That's wonderful. So now classes, right, is great. So this is the way you form classes, and it's actually top down. So a class is something that you're going to use over and over again, but you're going to use it differently, right? Like we're forming a class called dog, and you have to instantiate the class. So here's the instance. Now the instance is specific, right? It has all the features of the class, right? So you're forming the class dog, right? Here's the instance. You're saying that it's a class, and then it has these specific um, characteristics, right? And so what happens in the class is that you have this initialization, and this one statement over here uses this initialization, and it assigns it to that instance, the name and the breed, right? And now the class also has some functions. When I say bark, you return the string, says wolf. My name says wolf. When I say um, when I'm asking for the just itself, right? Then you're saying this statement over here, right? And so that's how it comes out. That's how you use classes. Now the class doesn't get executed, it comes into memory. So when you're seeing something like this over here in the output, there's nothing printed between this. There's nothing about the class. Hey, I'm making a class. It's just the print statements. Buddy's a golden retriever. Buddy says wolf, right? So for error handling, um, again, we're just going to what you want to use is try catch statements. Okay, so when you divide two numbers, you don't want them to be zero or anything like that. And so you just quickly do this is what you want in the try statement, and this is what you want to return. But there's an exception. These are actually things that you can look up. Cannot divide by 0 or invalid type, right? So it's called safe divide. You want to use this a lot, something like this, where you check if things are applicable. Another thing is that these definitions, they have to be defined before you use them. So here we're printing out safe divides. And so where are we here? This one's good. We can divide the two numbers. This one we cannot. Okay. So now lambda functions, again, it's a way of representing a simplistic function. There's a lot of information on the internet on that. I don't use them a lot. Not too sure about the speed of them, but here's an example, right? So you take this list and you're using itself square, right? And so you're kind of using, um, you're doing this operation times two, right? And so it's it's similar to me in the list comprehension where it just collapses the information for you and expands it out. It's kind of like doing tensor algebra. File operations, I'm sorry, but this kind of clicks up and down. File operations, this is very useful. Now you take in data and you want to write output. Okay, so this is saying my F is this file over here. Now in operating systems, maybe you want to put like a path like ctemp, and W is saying you're going to write to it. So this is all you need to do is to write to the file. So here is what it's doing is, and this is the way you read from it, right? So my mouse is, forget my mouse. So it's writing to the file, and then it's reading to from the file, right? You're doing opening the same file as this, as a file system, and then you're doing this read command, and you're showing all the content, right? And so over here, all you see is one item, and so it's actually the read statement. Okay, so now when we wrote to the file, it made this file over here. When we executed this program over here, it made this file, and it's a text file. Again, I have basic things here installed. This is a sandboxed environment to make sure that it's easy for users. I don't even have Notepad on here. Let me close this. And so that it's easy and robust and that I get people started. So I'm gonna use Edge over here. I've never had this minimal environment before. And we're gonna look at what we wrote, and it just says, this is a demo file. Python makes file handling easy. That's it. So that was a quick start on Python. You can explore it. It is going to write in the directory. So again, this is the file. This is your development environment. When I opened up a sample program, open the file, it gave me this file browser window. And do you see how it made things very pretty colors? The colors indicate things that are special. Comments, use them wisely. I mean, use them a lot, right? Because look what it did to the file. It made it readable. So, and enjoy your programming. There's a lot of information on the internet. Test it out a lot. Keep it small. Work from top down to give you an output to making functions that you can use later on and use them later on in your programming. And finally, when you have instances, when you've made something that talks back and forth, a fully defined instance of something that you like, right? Here I'm trying to do a class, right? I'm trying to describe a dog, right? But it could be something that's you're interested in. It, I trying to think of an example. Maybe let's say people that like to sew, right? So you have a class of yarn, you purchase it at the store, you can define the color, you can define the length, you can define the thickness, all the properties of one class of yarn. So now your program can compute how much yarn you need to make a beanie. Okay, well, thank you. That is it for now. and I hope you enjoy the series of about four or five up to come. You have to watch them to the end. The end puts these design tools together in a simplistic, better manner, more modern than what you're seeing here. Don't get scared, it gets better and better. Thank you.